Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a fantastic day and that you're looking after yourselves and one another. In this episode, I'm going to be doing another installment of albums that turned 50 in 2023. This is the second album that I mentioned in yesterday's video that I wanted to cover. What to say about this album? Quite a lot, actually. This album, when it was released in March of 1973, was this band's sixth album. By a lot of people, it was considered to be their, I guess you could say, their magnum opus. The group is Alice Cooper, and the album is Billion Dollar Babies. Now, Alice Cooper uh, formed in 1969, consisting of one Vincent Fournier, Alice Cooper on vocals, Glenn Buxton on guitars, Michael Bruce on keyboards and guitars, and Dennis Dunaway on bass, and Neil Smith on drums and percussion. This is the lineup that appear on the Billion Dollar Babies album. Again, released March of 73 through Warner Brothers, produced by Bob Ezrin. 10 tracks. The album clocks in at just over 40 minutes and change, making it the longest Alice Cooper album up to that date, which I find interesting. This album, for me, upon listening to it, I call it a good combination between theater and rock. You could see where, if not the band, where Alice Cooper himself was going upon the release of this album. Looking back, a couple of years later, he would release his solo debut, Welcome to My Nightmare, his only album recorded for Atlantic Records in North America. But back to Billion Dollar Babies. 10 tracks, 4 singles, Hello Hooray, Elected, Billion Dollar Babies, and No More Mr. Nice Guy were released as singles from the album, reaching number 1 in the UK, the US, number 2 in Canada, eventually going platinum in terms of sales. Fantastic album. Fantastic album. All but one track are written by the members of the Alice Cooper Band. The lead-off track, Hello Hooray, is the only track not written by a member of the Alice Cooper Band. This track almost sets the tone for the album. It's like you're walking into a theater, into a concert hall, and the narrator of the song is saying, I'm ready to entertain you. Please come on in, sit down, make yourself comfortable. The doors are about to shut and the show is about to begin. So for 2 hours, forget your troubles, forget your life outside these doors, and let me entertain you. Fantastic. Very lush. I can hear use of Mellotron. Although it's not listed in the credits, I do hear sounds of Mellotron on this track. Great, great track. Great track. Next is Raped and Freezing. I basically call this a straightforward rock track with the lyrics in the verses. I got a live one. You can just imagine what it's about. Good song, good arrangement on it. Next up is Elected. Can you imagine Alice Cooper running for government official? Not the Alice Cooper that we know of today, golfer, entrepreneur, gives to charity, family man. The Alice Cooper of the 70s, early 70s, straight jacket wearing, snake charmer, guillotine using, You know what I mean? That Alice Cooper. Can you imagine being a government official? And he's basically saying in the song, if you put me in office, I will let you make your own rules, live your own life. Basically, to some extent, the lunatics will be running the asylum. You know what I mean? And it's a good song, and he does a good vocal delivery. It's a very guttural delivery, I call it, a very throaty delivery that he gives on this track. Fantastic. And it's got to be said, the musicianship on this album is just phenomenal. I mean, Neil Smith on drums, just fantastic drumming. Uh, he and Dennis Dunaway, as the rhythm section, hold this album down in terms of the arrangements of the tracks, bar none. Fantastic. And Glenn Buxton, rest in peace, and Michael Bruce trading off guitar solos and rhythm guitar sections and use of acoustic guitars. Just amazing on this album. You know, after Elected comes the title track, Billion Dollar Babies. Again, very um, good combination of rock and a bit of theater in this, featuring Donovan on co-lead vocals. What I like about this track is everything: the arrangement, the guitars, um, the fact that Donovan and Alice Cooper trade off vocals, where on the first verse you hear Alice Cooper singing, and like a split second behind you hear Donovan doing the spoken word repeat of the verse or of the line. And then on the second verse, you hear them trade positions where it's Donovan singing and Alice Cooper doing the spoken word line a split second behind him. And then they come together in the chorus. And then you also hear Donovan doing a high octave singing section on this. Just amazing, amazing. Um, Unfinished Suite is track number 5, clocking in at 6 minutes, 19 seconds. The longest track on the album, fantastic multi-part track. Um, Fantastic work on bass by Dennis Dunaway, and Neil Smith on drums. There's a section where it's the midsection, extended section where Dennis Dunaway does a bass solo, and then you hear it's either Michael Bruce or Glenn Buxton coming in on rhythm guitar doing the theme from James Bond on this. It's just amazing. What I like about it too on these songs is you'll have Dennis Dunaway do a bass run along with the guitars, and it comes to a climax, and then the drums kick in again, just to sort of accentuate the point of what they're trying to do musically. Just amazing. Um, Side 2 kicks off with No More Mr. Nice Guy. Uh, a good rocker is basically Alice Cooper saying, I've been stepped on long enough. I've been called every name in the book. I'm not putting up with it anymore. I'm not being your Mr. Nice Guy. I'm not going to be your welcome mat. I'm not going to be a patsy. I'm done. Um, Generation Landslide comes next, and it's a good combination of acoustic guitars and electric guitar, just good trading off one another. Um, and it talks about the difference in generations in terms of the previous generation and then the generation growing up in the 60s and 70s. What was relevant to one generation is not relevant to the next one, and how parents or people in an authoritative role need to sort of relax the rules a bit and let the people of the next generation live their life. You know, whether that's good or bad is up for interpretation or opinion. But that's the impression I get from this song. Track 8 is Sick Things. My God. Um, a very eerie, I was going to say morbid, a very sort of eerie horror kind of a track with Alice Cooper delivering a very sort of evil vocal delivery and basically saying that he's in control of you for the next however many minutes the song is, and what he's into and what he wants from you and what he will give you in terms of of return of a give and take relationship. Had Yeah, you can tell where he was going with this in terms of Welcome to My Nightmare and the use of the guillotines and stuff on stage. And then that segues into Marianne. 2 minutes plus, like 2 minutes, 20 some odd seconds. Very beautiful track, melodically. Nice use of piano, acoustic piano on this. And it goes on, and it segues with the track before it. So he's basically, or what they're basically telling you on this album is, yes, sit through sick things, but it's only a dream. It's not real, right? You've kind of woken up from the nightmare musically because Marianne, as opposed to Sick Things, totally two different tracks. Uh, One end of the spectrum to another, very short track. One end of the spectrum to another in terms of musical composition, in terms of delivery. The piano fades out at the end. Then comes track number 10, I Love the Dead. Yes, you thought that the morbid theme was over for the album. It isn't. It ends the album. It is a very deadpan, very sinister delivery of a guy saying that he loves the dead. He loves the dead when their flesh is warm, meaning he's into necrophilia. Okay, it's got to be said. A very sinister, very cold, eerie, definite delivery. Uh, it's a good way to end the album because it almost has the thing of, you think you're safe, but are you really safe? You know? So after listening to this album, as I said at the top of the video, I can understand why this album went to number one in the States and in the UK and number two in Canada. I mean, it is a fantastic album. It is a good representation of where the band were. Unfortunately, this is the last album that they worked on with Bob Ezrin as producer. He basically left producing duties with the band after when they went in to do some work on the next album, Muscle of Love, that was released in November of '73. And Michael Bruce was working on a piece of music, and Bob Ezrin suggested a change in musical key, and Michael Bruce basically looked at him and said, "No, we discussed this. This is how we want to do it. It's staying the way it is." And Bob Ezrin at that point said, that he wasn't going to deal with it anymore, that he sensed that there was resistance in listening to his suggestions. And it's got to be said too, he liked to be listened to in the studio. And if he felt that your musical ideas were not as strong as his suggestions, he would tell you. And it's got to be said, the band were getting, not so much Alice Cooper himself, but the rest of the band were getting tired of him sort of, as they viewed it, dictating how the albums were going to be. So as a result, he left the fold. Jack Douglas and Jack Richardson ended up producing together Muscle of Love. That album reaching number 10 in the Billboard charts, featuring the track Teenage Lament 74. Number 10 as an album position is not a disappointment in any way, but Warner Brothers saw it as a disappointment, seeing as how Billion Dollar Babies reached number 1 and went platinum, and this album went number 10, reached number 10, and only went gold. So after this album, Muscle of Love, the band decided to split ways with Alice Cooper, and he'd go on to a successful solo career. But, and the rest, as they say, is history. The rest of the band would go on releasing one album under the name of Billion Dollar Babies, but it really didn't go anywhere. So that's it for this episode of Albums That Turn 50 in 2023. Please let me know what you think of Billion Dollar Babies down below. Put your comments and let me know what you think. Do you like Alice Cooper? Do you not like Alice Cooper? Do you like Billion Dollar Babies? Do you like the Alice Cooper catalog altogether, or not so much? Please let me know what you think. I'm going to be doing another show with Peter Kent on Saturday. We're going to be doing an album discussion on Black Sabbath Sabotage. And I'm going to be doing another live album spotlight on Genesis, Seconds Out. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also going to be doing a couple of more shows with Bill Schuster when he is available. We're going to be doing New Music Discovery, Joe Jackson, and we're going to be doing the elusive Pink Floyd album ranking. Bill, I know you're watching. So anyways, that's it for now. Please look after yourselves and one another, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye for now.